And a very good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to our series From Fractured to Free Again. Today, I have the real privilege of working with the beautiful Mabel Regis. Mabel and I have been friends for a lot of years, but I want her to expand a bit more on that later. But you know, when you meet that soul who you just know is meant to be in your life? Well, she was one of those girls. She was drawn into my life at the perfect time when I think we both needed each other. And today we're going to talk about how spirituality and well-being blend together. Because a lot of people will look at their well-being, but they don't see their spirituality as a valuable asset towards that. And for me, I think they come together. But I'm going to ask Mabel to expand on that a little bit longer. So good afternoon, Mabel, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Good afternoon, Dawn. And thank you so much for inviting me. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're actually going to talk spiritual because I know we've got like 21 subjects we could cover. Okay.
Yeah.
But we will come back and do those another day. Okay. So for today, if we're looking back, and would you call yourself spiritual, or is spirituality something you do?
Yeah. Good question. Looking back now, I would call myself spiritual, and it is something I do, and it is something I am. I be. That's it. And I think everyone is in different ways. But for me, when I started off, people call it their journey, but when I started off all this, I did not think I am, but I know I am now. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you've come a long way, Mabel, haven't you?
Yes, thanks to you a lot. Other people, other beings, and thanks to you, Dawn. Let's get that very clear. Yeah.
Thank you, Mabel. I was saying this to someone this morning. I put a post out on Facebook saying I think it can take one person to knock you down, but it takes a team to bring you back up, to help you find yourself again.
It's true.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you become aware of your spiritual journey?
I sort of became aware of my spiritual journey quite early on, actually. It started when I'm one of those people, so I'm sorry about that, but it's the truth. I went to university, and at that time, when I went to university, I had an arthritic attack in my ankles. I was walking along and suddenly I couldn't walk. And then I went to the doctor and I was told I had arthritis. And because I'm from the Caribbean, in terms of my parents, not from Jamaica, but from the Caribbean, and many Caribbean people believe in herbs and stuff, I just thought to myself then, no, I don't want to keep taking tablets and all that. And I also had an asthma attack, my first asthma attack. So I was under stress at university.
Yeah.
So I started taking herbs and I started to do things and look at my diet because I didn't want to have arthritis. I didn't want to have asthma. And what happened was I started to read things about shamanism and all that, and meditation and fasting and Indian religion. But that was about looking after your health with yoga and fasting and eating well. That's what started it, that arthritic attack. And I just started reading more things. And then before I knew it, I was wanting to do these spiritual things and meditating. That's what started it. And there have been other starts, I must admit, ever since.
Okay. Yeah. So you made a connection basically between your ankles hurting and needing to look after yourself better?
Yeah, needing to look after myself better, yes. And I'll admit it, at that time I was under stress a lot at university. So I was doing counseling groups as well, just to be able to manage it. So it was health and mental health.
Yeah.
And they were started to connect up because I was looking at something else. I didn't believe in medicine, going to the doctor, to look after myself and to take, at that time, look after myself well, my way. But then one thing led to another, and then I was finding about meditation and other things. That started it.
Okay. So Okay, guys. So just recapping on what you said, when
Yeah.
did it come from sort of studying your well-being to making that spiritual connection? So, because I'm
Yeah,
really, it's a bit general, really, but see, for
yeah,
me, a spiritual connection is about connecting with our friends upstairs and feeling at one with yourself inside.
that's right. Yeah, that point. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. When that really kicked in was after university. I joined another group, a women's group, because I believed in doing things about women's wellness and empowering women. And I had a sort of nervous breakdown, and I went to Nigeria. And I was there for 5 months, and I came back, and I didn't know I had a nervous breakdown. I just knew I couldn't really work well and all that. And what happened was around that time, I was going to, yes, thank you for that. I was going to Camden Market and I saw a crystal shop. And I
Ah,
was going to the crystal shop and buying crystals, and I saw these clear quartz crystals, and I loved them and was buying them and using them. And some people were talking about meditation, and I was doing things like that and buying books in a particular shop in Camden that's closed down now. I'm quite old, by the way,
bless you,
before
Mabel.
before the
You know.
internet and all that. Before the internet and all that. I was buying books, books, Yeah, anyway,
Yeah,
and reading them and trying
yeah,
out the meditations and things like that. And then I started to go on courses and things, but
yeah,
it was reading the meditation books,
yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
and doing visualizations and meeting people. And in meditation, especially the visualizations, I was making the connections. Yeah, yeah. Those were heart-opening times when I was struggling a lot in my 20s,
Yeah,
finding my identity and doing things.
yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. Thank you. And, you know, I always love to hear people's stories, but when did you actually realize that this was something that you really wanted to be a part of? Was it something that you did for yourself initially, or was it because of the people you met?
It was both. They both were happening at the same time. The meditation, reading about shamanism particularly, and the other states of consciousness that shamans could do, because they were delightful, wonderful, beautiful places, and the connections with animals and companions with that. And I loved that beautiful place and wanted to go there in meditation. I I did that for me, and because it helped me feel good, because London at that time, I was born and brought up in London, was not good for me. That place was beautiful and helped me feel good. This other place wasn't so good. And because I was feeling better and better here, I wanted others to feel that as well. So
Yeah,
that's when I wanted that part of my life and world, because I was interested in empowering women and social change and stuff, or
yeah,
helping people. Because my first job was as an assistant social worker, and then I was working in a women's group. So you can see here, I had a social focus,
yeah.
the meditation, and that which was working for me, I wanted to bring into that part of my life.
Well,
So my life has been about that in little ways since,
yeah,
looking after myself, healing myself, being more responsible for my life, and wanting to find ways to share with people.
yeah.
As you know, that's why I met you, because you do that.
Thank you, Mabel. I'm loving the way you just brought it together. It's see, I think a lot of people are sitting out there feel very lonely. I think loneliness is a real aspect at the moment. It's really something that's been compounded, I think, since we had this pandemic.
Yes, it has been.
And how would you advise somebody if they're feeling in that space at the moment where they're feeling very alone and they've not connected with their spiritual self? How would you advise them to start? Where would what would be their first step?
The first step with anything, like with me, is to admit, oh, I feel lonely,
Yeah,
and to feel and to accept that lonely is an unhappy place to be. And when I'm unhappy, it means I want to be happy, or there's something different that I can do. And it's that little flame, that little spark, that little seed, whatever you want to call it, that makes one want to be able to start to do something or to look for something different.
Yeah.
Now, I am, and I was at that time lucky because I didn't have any children or a husband or people to look after. So I could take the step for myself. But if one is by oneself, one has children, and you feel that you don't have time to go out and look for help, then is to find something in your life that feels good. And I'm saying that because I've been depressed many times, as you know, you've helped me through them. And I've been very depressed where even anything was grey. So to look for that little bit of light might be to look up and see the sky looking blue, or to see or to buy a flower, or to ask somebody, can I have a flower from your garden? Something to make you feel happy and to bring it into your life and bring it into your home for you. So you can keep looking at it, and that looking at it will start to make the changes. Can start, maybe if that flower helps you, I can talk to somebody and find somebody to speak to.
Yeah.
And I think it's those little things to start. As you know, Dawn, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make absolute sense. And I can, honor what you're saying. Because sometimes when you're in that dark tunnel or you've got that big grey cloud over your head, it feels like there's nothing's going to make that right. So it's starting with a small step. So for me, I love colours. I love nature. So when I'm out, one day I might be drawn to all the red colours. But it was, for me, it was the hard step was getting through that door. Getting from that place where I'm sitting in my seat feeling like the world didn't care about me, which I'm sure wasn't true, but that's how I felt. And there was no one there for me. I think the hardest step for me was getting through that door. So, I had to really give myself a really gentle talking to and encourage and nurture myself to get through that door. And that was, I think, the biggest step for me to say, Dawn, you are worth it.
Yes, yes.
There is another way.
Yes, I agree totally. I've been in that place quite a few times where I thought, the world outside is blah 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 blah, all the excuses. I've got my excuses, my reasons.
Yes.
I'll say reasons. Other people have got their reasons, their way of saying it, and it's stepping outside the door and finding out, wow, there's somebody walking down the street happens to smile at me and say hello. And that there is a friendly face. You're absolutely right. And sometimes it might be to write some messages on a post-it and put it on the door when you're just walking to the door and you don't want to, you see that note that says you can do it, or I can. Post-its in your bedroom or on the fridge. And I was putting up post-its to remind me of a different way of thinking. Do anything, even if it's a little thing. Picking up the pen and writing on that post-it is already starting to make that difference. More than we realize. I agree. So at this time of the pandemic, and coming out of it, which we are now, we do need these little bits of help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ourselves. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. It's, see, for some people it might be one thing, for some it might be another. But for me, I can't remember who told me or if I instinctively intuited it. I started writing down things I thought could help me every day. So I written what I called my own first aid kit. So I wrote down, like, if I breathe slowly, it's going to calm down my anxious head. If I smile, that's going to trigger some chemical in my head, which brings in oxytocin, which makes me feel better. If I give myself a big hug, it brings in the oxytocin, which is about self-love. And it was those simple steps that, first of all, because I was very, very, very proud. I won't say stubborn at the time, but I'm going to say proud. Okay. I didn't want people to know how I felt.
Yes.
I couldn't even talk. And I was married with a child at the time, but I couldn't tell my partner. I didn't want to tell my mum because she'd have been worried for me. I didn't want to tell my mother-in-law because I thought it would come back. I didn't feel as though I could talk about it. So I had to find something that made me feel better in me. And it was through having those little steps that I actually started to realize that actually there is a different way of feeling. I can feel better. And I think it was that realization for me to say, I don't have to feel like this. There is a choice. And,
Yes.
maybe that's something we can expand on in a moment with Mabel, but I think you've had moments like that, haven't you, when you felt like, I just wanted to retreat into myself.
Yes, totally, totally. And you told me in terms of the bark remedies, and I want to say this because you sent me this, and using bark remedies to show what type of person I am, and also it could help me to be okay with
Yeah.
wanting to retreat, and that there's another way to look at it. And I'll say this: I use my phone and use the alarm to give myself a message to say, hug yourself. And it's on an alarm that goes at the same time every day. So I'm doing it now. I've got this going on. Little things to help,
Yeah.
to remind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Can we just expand on that a little bit? Because I want to come back to your spirituality in a moment. But I think for anyone who's sitting at home at the moment thinking, where on earth do I start? First of all, the first thought is go into yourself and know that you are worth it. You can do this. Okay. And the small steps you take will help to trigger your brain to produce the feel-good chemicals that bring in the feel-good feelings. Okay. And I'm going to just expand that a little bit because it took me a few times of hearing this to understand it.
Yeah.
So say I'm having a happy thought today and I'm smiling inside and I'm just full of joy. Our body, the brain, produces a chemical, the amygdala produces a chemical that then helps give a neurological response so you feel better in yourself. And that's often the feelings that we attach with how I'm feeling today. Okay. Now, for example, if I'm having a day when I'm like, oh, this is getting on my nerves, basically, often that message then becomes a thought pattern that's getting on your nerves because the neurological response is producing the cortisol rather than the feel good chemicals. And if people have been sitting in this for a long while, what happens? That becomes disjointed. So it's almost like you've got this split personality. So some days I feel a little bit joyful, some days I feel happier, other days I feel like a raging bull. No, that's my Scorpio in me, but okay. Some days I want to lash out, some days I want to be angry with the world. And I was constantly on this seesaw of emotions. And I think for me, the turning point was when my friend said to me one day, she said, Dawn, I just want to say something to you, Dawn. And this is, if I never say anything to you again, because you might walk away, she said, I want you to tell you this is the truth. She said, some people are destined not to be happy. And she looked at me, just the room was silent. I almost wanted to think, oh my God, is she talking about me? And she said, and you may be one of those. And that, I think, was a kickstart. I needed someone outside of me to say, pull yourself up, girl.
Yes.
You are creating this. And she went on to say, is like, Dawn, you have a choice. You can either become the victim of other people's thoughts and the way they're treating you, or you can turn that around. And I sat looking at her and thought back. It was almost like a deja vu moment, say that you see your life flying before your eyes.
Yeah.
It was like a deja vu moment. Suddenly this anger was coming up, and then this sense of realization that I can be in control of this. I can take back my power. And I think that's when I started to realize my own value. And it was that moment in time when I started adjusting the things that were happening in my life and at the same time, the way I was responding or reacting to it.
Yeah, that's a wonderful moment.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful moment.
Yeah.
And you know what? Now that you said that, I'm going to say this to you, which I haven't said to you before, is that when I met you and I was doing that teaching work, learning to be a teacher in Norwich, in Norfolk,
Yeah.
I was in that miserable state and I didn't know I was so miserable. And it was meeting you and you helping me all those years since. That was the moment of you showing me, because you know how stubborn and proud I am. I've got a very good story for not doing it. But anyway, I'm light and light now. I've still got the side. But the talking with you and going to your shop every day, almost every day, was what was starting to make that difference. To show me in the little ways that I didn't know was then there, that there's another way that I could be, there's another way I could feel.
Yeah.
It was there. I didn't know until recently, but Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Dawn. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're having a déjà vu moment here, aren't we? Because that was 2012. That's 10 years ago, Mabel. Where has that time gone?
When you're having fun. Well,
It's
in
been,
between, I'm joking.
it's been
But the
interesting.
time
It's been an interesting journey.
it has been an interesting journey. There's been lots of changes.
Yeah.
And I'm here because of that, one of those.
Yeah.
And it does take a village to grow up a child. It takes a lot of people to help anybody on
Yeah.
their path. So thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So thank you, Mabel, for sharing. Now, if we're looking at when did this become a way of life instead of just something to do, Mabel, when was that turning point for you?
I can't say that it was a turning point, because if it was a turning point, it was after I left university and I was working and I was doing jobs and I was unemployed for quite a bit of time, but always I was coming back to doing this sort of things in my own time as a hobby, almost as a hobby, but it wasn't. It was something that I had to do. So I was living two lives, day-to-day work, but actually this was my passion.
Yeah.
So I was living it actually quite a bit. Um, and it became really clear. No, it became really clear, and I made a decision about it last year or 2 years ago. I don't know, it just happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is something that does, is something sparked inside you that says there is a better way of life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And can I just share something for a moment? Because I think for me, when I start to realize and put value on myself, see me as important as well, I think that was a turning point where we talk about spirituality being a higher vibration. When I rose up my own vibration, I actually became, in my eyes, more valuable. And
yes.
people start treating me differently, and also attracted in people who treated me well as opposed to people who put me down.
It is so true. It is so
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
So say it like that, then I started to value myself, as you know, comparatively recently, really about a year ago, when I really started to do this here, when I moved here to this part of Yorkshire. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been wonderful since. But yes, I started to value myself a year ago, thanks to you helping everybody. Dawn did that yet again. She helped so many. She helped me last year.
okay, bless you enough.
Yeah,
Okay,
bless you. Yeah, yeah.
okay, okay. And can I just adjust that slightly, Mabel, right? Because I just want obviously a lot of the problems come when we become codependent on someone. And we did have these conversations, didn't we, Mabel?
Yes, we did. We
When
did.
we were chatting at 3 o'clock in the morning.
You know,
As you
when I was
do.
calling from China at your
Yeah,
3 o'clock in the morning.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. As when we start to take back that power for ourselves, it's great to have friends around you to support you. But when we take it back for ourselves, then I think our spiritual journey starts opening up because we find out who we're meant to be. We find out about our weaknesses and our foibles and our bits that we don't want to admit, our shadow stuff. And I think
Yes.
it's when we start opening up to all of that, we start peeling away those layers. And it's not just one layer, it's lots of layers. And it's through that we discover who we're meant to be. And then we find our purpose and who we're meant to be here.
Yes, it is so true. It's so true. So true. And one of the things that you were showing me and I was finding out was I kept thinking that all I had to do, or not all I had to do, all that I was doing, had to keep doing was looking at the shadow self. And it was hard work when there's the light as well. So
Yeah,
there's the balance of both.
yeah,
Do the shadow work, but receive the joy
yeah,
and the beautiful flowers or
yeah,
the wonderful sunrise and the wonderful sunsets or good chocolate, okay?
yeah,
Chocolate, okay? Chocolate as well. Joking aside, but actually the profound beauty of life.
yes,
Go out for the walk in nature. Go and be with trees. go to the beach as well as do the shadow work. Peeling off the layers, yes,
Yeah.
has to be done because there's more for the beauty to come in. That's
Yeah.
what it's about too.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with
Yes.
you, Mabel. Okay. How did this help you in yourself? Because emotionally, obviously we can get out of balance, whether we're on a spiritual journey or not. But having a more spiritual insight into your life, how did that help you?
It helped me. It helped me to have a way of looking at my emotions from a more compassionate. People talk about compassionate, but it's so true. A compassionate, more, I'm going to say distant, to have the distance enough to feel I'm looking at myself. I see that. Oh, it's bad, but compassion means I love myself still, or I love you still. It's okay. Because when I was in the pain of the
Yeah,
stuff a lot, I actually believed I was no good. I didn't deserve anything. You can see that I'm beating myself up, all these negative thoughts. And being in that place is very, very difficult. Spirituality, meditation, those things helped me to do this. Just open my eyes, just step back enough to see my emotions and myself there, but know that I am loving enough to be with my negative thoughts and be okay with them and find ways to transform them. That's what spirituality, meditation, or whatever
yeah,
does. To stop being here in the midst of it, but to have that distance like that, to be able to be loving, heal, let them be, let them drop, and let myself be. Healing, transformation,
yeah,
but letting myself be is what's
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
Does that
absolutely.
make sense?
It makes absolute sense. Yeah, yeah. And I like the way you put that. It's almost like being able to give you a distance to step back and see things through different eyes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm
And
loving
for
that.
me, it's trees. For me, it was trees that gave me the
Yeah,
distance to see how trees were still and whatever, and all those magnificent trees worked, did it for me.
yeah,
Represented detachment, being still, being grounded, reaching up to spirit, being grounded in the earth. They were good role models and teachers just
yeah,
by being who they are.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can
What's
imagine that.
yours?
And for me, it's actually the trees as well. I love,
Oh, okay.
I'll stand beneath a tree or imagine that I'm like the tree with the roots going down and feel total gratitude for this stillness of presence within me as I'm breathing and feeling connected to the earth, and especially if I'm with the tree. And I just feel like I'm at one with myself and with everything that's around me. And imagine the tree branches up above are all those beautiful gifts being showered down from the universe and from spirit. So it's just holding that presence. And sometimes it's just for a moment where I just go, let that go, Dawn. Let it go. And I imagine that I'm just giving it back to Mother Earth, giving her all this fertilizer and being fully present in the moment, because that helps to distract me from what I was thinking about. And then I can see more clearly how I can turn things around. Or even if I can't see how to turn it around, at least I feel at peace with myself. So I'm not reacting then to that situation.
Yes, and do you have a moment where you can start to act or be
Yeah,
still and know that it's not personal or find a way not to react?
yeah,
You're so right.
yeah,
That's so beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thanks. Okay. So I'm going to ask Mabel because I know that you do a lot of work with a lot of people now. Okay. And obviously we don't we can't bring them all out on the table at the moment. Okay. But if you were going to say someone sat in front of you today, what would you encourage them to do?
If somebody was sitting in front of me today, I would encourage them just to be with me quietly in that moment, breathing gently in and out, relaxing. And that's a form of meditation. But just to do that, to put meditation and what it could mean aside, but just in that present
Yeah,
moment with me, breathing and feeling that quietness that you've just created just now, that beautiful image. Do it, breathing in and out in that. imagining it or hearing the birds or smelling the beautiful flowers, whatever works with them. And do that for a few minutes with me in that moment so that they know, oh, I can do it now and I can do it at home. And I'll say, you've just done it. You can now go home and do that. And that's what I would do with them.
Excellent.
Notice it's happening and then know, oh, I can do it again. That's all that I want to do with people.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely love it. Okay, so I just want to say as a word of advice to everybody, I think you'll agree with me about it's not an overnight fix. Nothing happens instantly. A lot of what we're talking about will bring a feeling, a sense of calm and peace and more at one with yourself, but it can be a long journey, and that's okay.
It is okay. Yes, it is okay. I'll say this is that I'll say this. This is exactly what it is about the group. The group, the group I do meditation with. It's called meditation for me, where it's these women who come and they do it, and what they do is remember that they can do it again and again, maybe once a week or every day, whatever they choose to do it, they do it at home. And that's what they're doing. It's for me, I can do it at home. However it looks, it works. And the more I do it, the more okay I feel. And that's what it is about, and giving me the feedback that it's working for them.
Yeah,
What they
absolutely.
do is working for them.
Yeah, absolutely, Mabel. I've got 101 questions written here. But I think what I'd like to do, Mabel, is because, if someone's new to stilling their mind and working with breath work, is maybe if you could talk us through a little gentle breathing exercise and maybe we could call it a meditation for today.
Yeah, so your meditation or relaxation.
Okay. And then if we've got, a few minutes afterwards, then we can answer some more questions. Oh, you can. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mabel. So would you like to lead us in?
Okay. This is going to be just a very gentle, simple relaxation. So what I invite you to do is this, is to notice that you're sitting comfortably on your chair. Feel yourself heavy, and you're sitting down on this chair that's holding you up. And what would be nice for you to do is to close your eyes, or if you don't want to close your eyes, look down as you're looking down on the ground, and your eyes go down just a little bit. And what you can do is take a nice, gentle, slow breath in. And out. Now breathing through your nose, in. And out. Let's do it a couple more times. Just in through your nose. And out through your nose. One more time. In through your nose. And out through your nose. Now, just sit back a little bit and notice that you're upright in your chair. Feel yourself comfortable. And put your feet flat on the floor. And with each breath in and out, you've got a little smile of comfort and ease. Notice the breath is going through your nose. It feels cool when it goes in. And it's warmed up by your lungs and goes out as warm air. Notice that for a few seconds. Notice your chest rising when you breathe in and down when you breathe out. And in your own time, notice when you breathe in, the air goes round your body in your lungs and then through your body. And when you breathe out, that air comes out of your body. And each time you're breathing in and out, you're relaxing a little bit more. Let's do this for 4 more breaths, and then we'll come out of this relaxation. Just 4 more breaths. 2, 3, 4. In and out. Now take a deep breath in, a little bit deeper, and breathe out through your mouth. In and out through your mouth. Notice you're sitting on your chair. Your whole body's relaxed. Notice your hands. Notice your feet. Give your toes a little wiggle. Wiggle your fingers. Feel your hips and your back. Give your shoulders a little wiggle and shrug. Move your head a little around your neck. And when you're ready, open your eyes and look around your beautiful room. Look at something that's beautiful, and that includes me if you want.
Loving that.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was beautiful, Mabel. Thank you so much. I feel so chilled. I don't know what else to say. But is that the ultimate aim, Mabel? For me, it's the ultimate aim to be able to find that peace within myself.
It is.
And then to encourage others to be able to do the same.
Yes. And also for them to know, each person to know that you can do it.
Yeah.
And to practice it so that you know more and more you can do it. and that you're okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, now we've obviously come to the end of our time, or towards the end of our time. But Mabel, there's so much more to you than this. Where do you see your path going at the moment, Mabel? Because I know there's I want to say, a fun side of you coming out.
It came up just now. I'm so sorry. Well, no, no, but yeah.
No, don't apologise for being happy.
Thank you. Um, One direction is that it's come to my attention that I'm funny, that I easily make people laugh. The first time I taught meditation, I'll let you know, I went to sit down in my chair and I almost fell off because I missed it. So the people in the meditation session just cracked up laughing. But laughter is one of the things that relaxes people. So I'm thinking of doing something like be not a stand-up comedian, but just be a spiritual Whoopi Goldberg, or, just make people laugh. So I might just explore that direction, and also to keep on doing more and more of my meditations, and to start recording the meditations that I do spontaneously and make them available. So, two directions: doing something to make people laugh, find out how to do it, and record meditations now.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
so much for sharing today. I know we've got a list of questions here we haven't covered, but I think, this is something we could come back and explore another day.
Yes.
And what I'm seeing also, Mabel, somewhere down the road, maybe we could do this together, invite in some other people who would like some support from you.
Okay, I'd love to do that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do want to start doing things around mental health
yeah,
myself
yeah,
here where I live. So that's another direction.
yeah,
But one at a time. And I'd love to do things with you now.
yeah. Because my thought is, Mabel, I'd love to work with you again, is to be able to put them up there on YouTube, and then those people who aren't ready to reach out could actually tap into that.
Which is what happened with me.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
definitely with me.
yeah, absolutely. My dog's just come to join me, so he's loving your vibrations today.
Oh, oh, lovely, lovely.
Okay, but thank you so much, Mabel. And can you tell me your details? Where will people find you?
Yes, well, my contact details are by email at oyamay33@gmail.com, and I'll spell that for you. And also I want to hear about what you're doing. But about me, if you want to contact me, you can contact me at this. I'll spell it out: OYA, M for mother, AY 33 at gmail.com. That's how to contact me, and I'll answer as quickly as I can.
Brilliant. So oyamay33@gmail.com.
That's correct. Yes. Thank you.
That's
Thank you
beautiful.
for this.
May I ask, what does that mean, oyamay?
Yes, Oya is the name of a Yoruba goddess, and she's the goddess of the wind, and the wind brings changes, and the
Oh,
wind
wow.
is a messenger. And May, because it's just the end of spring, and it brings in summer. So it's about the wind and spring and changes. And also it's a little bit sounds like my name, May, Mabel. Okay, but yeah. And that's it. That's it.
That is
Thank you.
beautiful. That is so beautiful, Mabel. Thank you so much for sharing today, my love. And I look forward to next time, because we will get through these questions, won't we?
We will at some point too. But what about what you're doing these days?
At the moment, I'm really enjoying speaking to people on these podcasts, and I'm just storing them up at the moment because we've got to create a session of, I think, some of it will be one-to-one like this, but others, I think it would be nice maybe if we invited in a few friends who could
Yeah.
give us questions that other people would be asking. And from that, I think the inspiration is to create a book. So each person who I talk to will give a little bit of information on how they can help themselves.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so maybe expand a little bit more on your journey. So say 2 or 3 pages of how your journey came about, how it helped you, and how you could help and support other people.
That sounds wonderful. It's
Yeah,
awesome. You're great at writing
yeah,
books. That's
yeah.
great.
I do
Yeah.
love writing, but I think for the moment, Mabel, there's a lot of stuff out there, but there's so many choices, people don't know where to start. So I thought if we can narrow it down a little bit and say, look, we trust in these people. There's a lot of insights here. There's some really gentle, natural techniques. It's that first aid kit for people at home.
Yeah. I agree, because I was overwhelmed a lot when there's just so much and I didn't know where to
Yeah,
start. So
yeah,
I just had to let people come to me. You are one
yeah,
of them. And it's true. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's my plans for the future. Next week, I'm starting to work in the schools again, reading with the children. So I'm really excited about that. And we're doing spiritual and workshop creative art. That's kind of the thing at the moment.
Yes.
So using meditation and creating that on into art, and then using that as a way of understanding. That's, oh my goodness me, we could be here all day, couldn't we, Mabel? But maybe we could cover that another day. I'm just respecting your time. Okay.
Thank you so much for this invitation. That's wonderful of you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mabel.
you so much.
Thank
for being
you,
a
and
friend.
yeah, what a privilege to work with you, Mabel.
And
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Blessings. Thank you.